Most men lose before they even begin. Not because they lack strength, but because they announce their plans before execution. They talk when they should be building. They seek validation when they should be refining. They react when they should be calculating. The modern world rewards noise, but nature rewards silence. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. As Emperor of Rome, he commanded legions, yet his greatest power came from what he kept hidden. His meditations were never meant for the public. They were instructions to himself, written in solitude, sharpened in silence. This is the essence of Stoic dominance. You do not broadcast your transformation. You embody it. You do not argue your worth. You demonstrate it through action. You do not seek approval from those who cannot see beyond their own weakness. Today, you will learn 6 principles that separate reactive men from strategic men. These are not motivational phrases. These are psychological weapons forged in ancient philosophy and validated by modern reality. If you apply them, you will move differently, think differently, win differently. Let others talk. You will build in silence and let your results speak. Number 1. Silence is your strategic advantage. The first principle is simple but violently ignored. Most men reveal their hand before the game begins. They announce goals, declare intentions, broadcast plans. This is psychological self-sabotage. When you speak prematurely, you activate the reward centers of your brain, as if you have already achieved the goal. Your mind mistakes declaration for completion. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the best revenge is to not become like your enemy. Applied here, the best strategy is to not become like the crowd. The crowd seeks attention. You seek progress. Announcing your goals invites judgment, skepticism, and interference. It exposes your vulnerabilities to those who would exploit them. Silence protects your mission. It allows you to pivot without explaining. It shields you from the opinions of those unqualified to judge your path. Consider the entrepreneur who tells everyone about his startup before launching. He burns mental energy defending his idea instead of executing it. Now consider the man who builds quietly, launches strategically, and only speaks when results are undeniable. One seeks validation. The other commands respect. Silence is not weakness. Silence is the controlled withholding of information until you hold position. Move in silence. Strike with precision. Number 2. React less, observe more. Reaction is the language of the controlled. Observation is the posture of the powerful. Every time you react emotionally to criticism, disrespect, or provocation, you hand over your internal state to external forces. You become a puppet controlled by whoever knows which strings to pull. The Stoics called this being enslaved to impressions. Modern psychology calls it emotional hijacking. The outcome is identical. You lose. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that the object of life is not to be on the side of the majority, but to escape finding oneself in the ranks of the insane. Reactivity is insanity. It sacrifices long-term positioning for short-term emotional release. A man insults you at work. The reactive response is confrontation. The observant response is to note his insecurity, understand his motive, and use that information strategically later. Reaction closes doors. Observation opens leverage points. This does not mean you tolerate disrespect. It means you choose the time, place, and method of your response based on strategic value, not emotional impulse. Train yourself to pause. Let the emotion surface. Observe it without acting on it. Then decide. This gap between stimulus and response is where your power lives. Own that gap. Control your kingdom. Number 3. Turn your gaze inward daily. Most men are experts on the flaws of others and blind to their own. This is ego's greatest trick. It projects outward to avoid the discomfort of self-examination. But the Stoics knew that real power begins with brutal self-honesty. Epictetus taught that it is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. If you believe you have no weaknesses, you guarantee your stagnation. Marcus Aurelius practiced daily reflection. He asked himself what he did wrong, what he did right, and what he left undone. This is not self-criticism. This is strategic recalibration. Without it, you repeat the same errors while expecting different outcomes. Here is your method. Every evening, spend 5 minutes reviewing your day. Identify one moment where you reacted instead of responded. One moment where ego clouded judgment. One moment where you could have acted with more discipline. Write it down. This is not for shame. This is for pattern recognition. Over time, you will see your weak points clearly. And what you see clearly, you can correct deliberately. Most men avoid this practice because it requires confronting uncomfortable truths. That discomfort is the price of growth. Pay it willingly. Your power expands in proportion to your self-awareness. If this resonates with you, press the like button. Not for the algorithm, but as a personal commitment to these principles. Subscribe to the channel if you are ready to separate from the reactive majority and join the small percentage of men who build power through discipline. This is not entertainment. This is a philosophical operating system. The next 3 principles will show you how to think long-term, build silently, and eliminate your need for external validation. These are advanced concepts. Most will hear them and do nothing. A few will integrate them and change the trajectory of their lives. Let us continue. Number 4. Think in decades, not days. Short-term thinking is the hallmark of the manipulated. Long-term thinking is the signature of the strategic. When you optimize for immediate pleasure, you sacrifice future position. When you endure short-term discomfort for long-term gain, you accumulate compounding advantages that others cannot see until it is too late to catch you. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, yet he constantly reminded himself of mortality. Not to be morbid, but to maintain perspective. Every decision was measured against the ultimate horizon. What matters when everything is temporary? Legacy, character, contribution. These cannot be built in a day. They require years of invisible work. Consider the man who chooses comfort today. Easy job, easy relationships, easy habits. In 10 years, he will face hard consequences. Limited options, regret, dependence. Now consider the man who chooses difficulty today. Hard training, hard conversations, hard disciplines. In 10 years, he will enjoy easy consequences, freedom, respect, options. The Stoics understood delayed gratification at a neurological level before neuroscience existed. They knew that resisting impulse builds the mental muscle required to dominate life. Every time you choose the hard right over the easy wrong, you invest in your future self. Compounding discipline creates exponential results. Think decades. Act daily. Win inevitably. Number 5. Build in silence, reveal in completion. There's a psychological trap in announcing your progress. When you post about your workout, your business, your transformation, you trigger a dopamine response similar to actual achievement. Your brain registers social validation as accomplishment. This diminishes your hunger to continue. You feel rewarded without earning the result. Marcus Aurelius never published his meditations. They were discovered after his death. He built his philosophy in private, applied it in leadership, and left a legacy that outlived empires. He did not seek applause. He sought truth. Modern men are addicted to the announcement. They document every step, seeking likes, comments, external affirmation. This is weakness disguised as transparency. Real builders work in obscurity. They refine their craft away from the crowd. They launch when ready, not when popular opinion approves. Consider the man training for a competition. If he posts every session, he satisfies his need for recognition prematurely. If he trains silently and shows up shredded on competition day, he commands respect through undeniable reality. Silence amplifies impact. Noise dilutes it. Let others perform for an audience. You perform for results. Build your empire in the shadows. Emerge only when victory is inevitable. Quiet dominance is the final form of power. Number 6. Need nothing from anyone. The moment you need external approval, you become controllable. Whoever controls what you need controls you. This is the ultimate Stoic liberation. Independence from the opinions, validation, and applause of others. Marcus Aurelius wrote that if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Translation: your suffering is a choice. Your need for approval is a choice. And it is a choice that enslaves you. When you build internal standards, you become immune to manipulation. Critics cannot wound you. Praise cannot corrupt you. You operate from a fixed internal compass, indifferent to external weather. This does not mean arrogance. It means sovereignty. You respect others, but you do not need their validation to know your worth. You contribute value, but you do not require applause to continue. This is the ultimate freedom. Most men spend their entire lives performing for an audience that does not care. They sacrifice authenticity for acceptance. They abandon their mission for approval. You will not. You will define your own standards, meet them relentlessly, and remain unmoved by external judgment. This is how you reclaim your power. This is how you win quietly. You now possess 6 principles that most men will never understand: silence, observation, self-examination, long-term thinking, hidden progress, internal validation. These are not theories. These are operational disciplines. If you commit to them, you will separate from the reactive masses and enter the ranks of the strategic few. Comment below: I build in silence. Let that be your declaration. Not to me, but to yourself. Watch your next move carefully. Act with precision. The world rewards noise temporarily, but it remembers silence permanently. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be undeniable. Be silent. Think deep. Win quietly.